Welcome, my friends, to Baudette, Minnesota, home of the walleye. Grab a beer and let's see what kind of trouble them Berger boys are up to.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. Straightening the curves, flattening the hills. Someday the mountain might get them, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how. That's just a little bit more than the law will allow. Just a good old boy, wouldn't change if they could. Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.
Well, looky there. There's a walleye jig, dancing like a college kid with a ring pop. Whoop! What do I have here? That looks like a North American walleye. Now, it looks like he had him, but finicky little fella. These things are harder to catch than one would think, and even harder to find, which is why them Berger boys know you gotta drive at least 10 hours to get them. Science tells you that. So let's hit the road, because them fish ain't gonna catch themselves. And that's where these Berger boys come in. You see, Primusburg's a proud family. Takes a lot to be one of them. Takes even more to get yourself invited up to Baudette, Minnesota. So when you look at these two characters, and you'll see some introductions along the way, I want you to remember a couple things. Number one, this is the walleye capital of the world. And you got to know what you're doing to find them. And there's a whole lot more to Baudette than fishing. And that's what young Drew and Kean figured out. Now how they get themselves out of it, that's a whole nother story. But let's start from the beginning, because planning isn't a Primusburger strength, because these morons rolled into town at 3 a.m. when everything was still closed. But being resourceful as they are, they figured, hey, we'll just sleep in this here truck. It's only 10 degrees below zero, with no resource, blankets, pillows, food, drink. Doesn't stop them, though. Next morning, they were up and at 'em, driving the ice. Oh boy, were they excited. By the time they got to that ice house and got their gear together, them rods were in the water faster than Todd at a polar plunge. Them boys couldn't wait to get on the walleye. So they baited them jigs, dropped them in the water, and absolutely nothing. Those boys didn't catch a damn thing. Hell, they would have caught more fish sitting on a goddamn bar stool. They felt it. Oh, and it didn't feel good. Because being out on that frozen water, not catching any fish is about the loneliest place a man could be. Start to think about a decision you made. I mean, even their dad tried to come up with some words of encouragement.
What the fuck? What? Don't you guys care?
Quite the motivator. But sometimes you just gotta know when you've been beat. You know, sometimes you get the walleye, sometimes the walleye gets you. And I think these two had just about enough. It was about time to hop back in that truck, take your licking. 'Cause on that ride back in, every Primusburg from here to Piers is gonna have a word or two for you. Everybody telling you how many fish they caught and how they did it. I mean, hell, even the girls next door had a couple of words for our boys.
Those Berger boys won't catch shit.
Well, ain't that ice cold? And it didn't stop there. Headed to the cabin. Only to have to keep going.
Drew, you ever been to Canada?
I was trying to tangle all that stuff.
Drew, you ever been to Canada? You can go tonight.
Well, it doesn't sound like Mr. Todd meant that in a nice way. That wasn't going to deter our fellas. Guess they knew time to head to the bar. Because there's one thing every Primusburger knows, is that even though it may have been a bad day on the ice, there is a high top chair waiting to hug your bottom side, tighter than old Ben's fanny pack. And the best person to take care of you up here at Slim's would be that angel named Paula. Now, Paula's been at Slim's longer than any Primusburger, which says a lot, but she always takes care of them. And on this night, Paula had something special for these two new burger boys.
Well, I sure could use y'all's help winning a fishing tournament.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That sound sure don't seem to match the horn, but that's Paula. Paula went on to explain to these boys the importance of this fishing tournament and what the prize was, and that to win it, you would need to take down generations of Primusburger men who came before you. She then educated those two on every single one of them winners, starting with Big D, Dennis Primusburger. Armed with his one-by-and pirate's rope, D don't miss a fish. His son Casey damn near wins every year, but inexplicably forgot his flannel, so I don't like his chances. Timmy there in the hat has won a time or two, but this year I like his chances with that grape juice bottle in his hand instead. Ben Langer, cookie extraordinaire, has snuck in a victory or two, but 2024 don't feel like his year. That leads us to Carl Spandy, a rather formidable opponent, but seems a little more distracted with the hips this year. And that brings us to Todd Primusburger. Big T, Little Odd, the Todd father. He was going to be a problem this year. And them burger boys gonna have to figure out how you stabilize the beast. Now don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
You're flying up the road in the General Lee in swift pursuit. You can guarantee our Roscoe and Boss Hog lighting the trail. If they get you, you know they'll toss you in jail. You zig and you zag, spin out with ease, but Roscoe's got Luke and Bo in a tight squeeze. But coming up again is that great big leap. You make it good, but Roscoe winds up in a great big heap. Yahoo! So if you want to fly and do stunts like real with cars that got the look and the racing feel, you get the Dukes of Hazzard racing sets, which is from ID. Yahoo!
Now where were we? Oh yes, Todd.
When you're riding 16 hours, there was nothing much to do.
Guy's got a voice of an angel and a rod better than Babe Winkleman. And that's what these burger boys are up against. So what they did, they hatched a plan. Now they know Todd's a man of spirit. He's a man who likes spirits. And they were going to figure out how to use that against him. And they knew right where to start. Go back to Slim's. Because on that first night, Todd was going to grab a beer. The next thing Todd was going to do was find the man himself, Slim. And there he is, back of the corner. You can bet your arse Todd was going to pick his brain about what jewelry to use. And then take his place back on his bar stool. And that's where the boys found their opportunity. Because you see, there's one other thing Todd can't ignore. George Thorogood. And if you find George on the jukebox, that party's gonna party all by itself.
We were playing in Philadelphia last night. 4th of July night. After the show, a lot of people.
346 minutes later.
One bourbon, one scotch, one beer. Oh, I ain't seen my baby since I don't know when. Mr. Bartender says.
Now, if the goal there was to make Todd tired the next day, them fellas accomplished that mission better than George Bush sitting on an aircraft carrier. And knowing they now have the upper hand against the Todd father, those fellas went back to that fish house with a new sense of determination. Now, with the walleye slayer properly subdued, it was them burger boys' time to shine, but you wouldn't believe it. Even after all that, well, they still couldn't catch shit. And just when it seemed that all hope might be lost, and those boys started talking the bull, the most amazing thing happened. And now we don't know if it was the propane or all them Miller Lights, but watch this.
What kind of advice you got for us?
Huh?
What kind of advice you got?
None. You start fishing, that's all you gotta do.
And when a hero like Grandpa Primusburger gives you advice like that, you pick up your rod and you get to fishing.
Come on. Ha, sicker than your average. Papa twist cabbage off instinct. Just don't think shit stink. Pink Gators, my Detroit players. Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn. Dead right, if the head right, Biggie there every night. Papa been smooth since days of under rules. Never lose, never choose to. Bruise, cruise, who? Do something to us. Talk, go through us. Girls walk to us, wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Pump. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3. Bang every MC easily. Easily. Recently, frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just speak my peace. Keep my peace. Cubans with the Jesus peace. With my peace. Packing, asking who want it. You got it, flaunt it. That Brooklyn bull, we on it.
Biggie, 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 can't you see?
Now don't that just get the old tackle box jiggling? With all them fish in the pail, the boys really only had one more thing to do. Just make sure Todd didn't outfish them. Well, old Todd took care of that all on his own.
Todd, what seems to be the problem?
I can't get my fucking feet on up here.
And you got a fish, do you?
Yeah.
So just when it looked like the old boy might do it again, went and hog-tied himself, taking him right out of the competition. Leaving our 2 Berger boys and that sturgeon they pulled in as the winner of this year's biggest fish. Now they just had to go meet Miss Paula and collect their prize.